Our nation's founding documents declare that all men are created equal, where citizens receive the equal protection of our laws. It's a noble goal. But we all know, for many citizens, it's a lie. How on earth did two black men pull off owning a bank in Texas? Why is it so important to you to exclude an entire race of people from the American dream?
This man is Bernard, a financial tycoon who owns 2 banks and 177 properties. He was born in Texas, where racial discrimination is severe. He went out to polish shoes for others when he was 10 years old. Unlike other shoemakers, he specialized in polishing shoes for people at the bank's door, not because the white people in the bank gave more money, but because he could steal much financial knowledge from the white population while polishing shoes. When the white man left, he quickly took out his notebook and wrote down the financial information he had heard. Because he was unwilling to be poor, he was determined to be a rich man since childhood. When his father saw his notes at night, he felt deeply guilty.
He's born the wrong colors. Negro man can't earn money, but this white man won't let him no matter how good at it you are.
Maybe not in Texas.
You really think it's gonna be so different for you? You go somewhere else.
Although not favored by his father, Bernard still made the first pot of gold in his life when he was 25, married, and had children, and had a happy family. In order to get better development, he took his family to Los Angeles. When looking for a house here, he found a business opportunity. The black community has been overcrowded, but there are many vacant houses in the white neighborhood because the white landlord would rather have the place empty than rent it to the black. So Bernard would buy a home in a white community and rent it to blacks after decoration, so he went to the landlord, Buck. The landlord asked for $40,000 and Bernard's savings added only $30,000. He hoped that Buck would allow himself some time and make up the remaining $10,000 after the house was rented out. But Buck disagreed. Bernard said he could understand. Just as he was leaving, he saw the calendar behind the landlord, a gift from the bank to VIP customers. Bernard had an idea. The black man walked into the bank and wanted to apply for a loan. The white receptionist saw that he was a black man. Just say the manager is not in today. The manager is not accessible today. Bernard knew and pretended to leave, but hid at the bank's door. When the manager came out, Bernard immediately greeted him, said he was a friend of the landlord, and then put forward his own needs. The manager saw that Buck's friend was and didn't refuse directly. He asked him to go back and wait for notice. In the evening, it was not the bank manager who called.
Use my name to try and get a loan from Mr. Reed at Mid-City Bank.
Yes.
And do you think that follows normal business customs?
If I was following normal business customs, I'd still be a shoeshine boy in Texas,
Good.
sir.
Well, at least we can agree on that. Reed wants to see you at the bank in the morning to sign off on that loan.
Excuse me?
I told him I'd act as guarantor.
Why are you doing this, Mr. Barker?
Because normal business customs are in place to screw people like you, Mr. Garrett. You went to see Reed knowing the deck was stacked because you have that much confidence. That tells me all I need to know about you.
Because with the support of the landlord, Bernard succeeded in getting a loan to buy the house. After the simple decoration, the black people nearby came to rent. Within a few days, Bernard fully leased the whole apartment. Buck was surprised by the speed of renting. Buck offered to cooperate with Bernard. He was responsible for signing contracts and buying houses with loans. Bernard was responsible for decorating and renting out the homes. The income is divided equally between 2 people. Bernard promised that in the next few days, the 2 would have a clear division of labor and more houses, making a lot of money. Bernard also bought his favorite mansion in the city. The good times didn't last long. The landlord died of a sudden illness, and the wife who inherited the assets didn't want to continue to cooperate with Bernard. She proposed to recover 50% of Bona's equity at a meager price. Otherwise, she would see it in court. Because she was black, the signatures on the house purchase contract were all from the landlord. In this case, there was little chance of winning the lawsuit, so Bernard found the bank manager to testify for himself. But the manager refused to meet him. Looking at the ugly face of the manager aroused Bernard's fighting spirit. He came up with a bolder idea. The bank only served white people. The black man was unwilling, so he decided to buy the bank. Through his wife's introduction, he met Morris, the richest black man in the area. He told Morris his thoughts and his experience of buying a house. Morris had a resonance. He came here to work hard because he was black and suffered a lot. So they hit it off and decided to buy the bank building and invest with white money. But in their current black identity, white people will not sell it. So Bernard found a white man, Matt, taught him to play golf, and asked him to learn financial knowledge and table manners. After training, Matt was packaged as a high-class person with temperament. Under the arrangement of the two black bosses, Matt took a luxury car to the golf club, while boss Morris became the exclusive driver. After a period of contact, Matt became familiar with the bank boss. As soon as the time came, Matt proposed his acquisition plan to the bank boss. The bank boss opened his mouth and offered to sell for $2.4 million. Obviously unreasonable. As early as Bernard expected, he had handed in his younger brother a complete set of negotiation skills just last night. During the negotiation, Matt said a bunch of very accurate figures. He didn't need a calculator at all. The bank boss was stunned. Seeing Matt's extraordinary ability, he finally sold it to him for $1.56 million. When two real black bosses appeared the next day, the former bank manager was stunned. In the following days, the two people's road of buying houses was smooth. In less than half a year, they owned 177 properties. He became a real estate tycoon at that time, and even the then Vice President of the United States visited their bank. In 1963, Bernard decided to return to his hometown. Now he has wealth, but the black people in his hometown can only live at the bottom of society, just like before. At this moment, he decided to do something for the development of black people in his hometown, so the first step was to buy the bank here. Only by purchasing the bank do those potential black people have the opportunity to take out loans and start businesses. But Morris directly objected because the racial discrimination in Texas was too severe. It is impossible to do so, but Bernard's attitude was firm. In order to support his friend, Morris agreed. They called Matt and negotiated according to the previous method, but it was not as smooth as the first time. This time, they can only let Matt disguise as the bank president to run the bank, Bernard to be the bank cleaner, and Morris to be the driver. Only in this way can the two black bosses lurk around Matt. When they bought the bank, the first thing they did was to change its lending policy, and they started lending to potential black people. Soon, some black people in the area became rich, but there were no airtight walls. One night, the bank shareholders quietly followed Matt and found out that the behind-the-scenes bosses of the younger brother turned out to be Bernard and Morris. He was furious, so he deliberately set the trap and asked Matt to sign the illegal documents. Soon, investigators came to visit and found a lot of unlawful loan records. Matt knew he had made a big mistake and moved the illegal loan to another bank. His original intention was to remedy, but he did not expect this operation to constitute fraud. The two banks were seized instantly, and Bernard and Morris went to court. During the hearing, Matt ruthlessly dismissed all responsibility. When it was Bernard's turn to provide testimony, he did not defend himself but directly uncovered the false fig leaf behind the harmonious society of the United States. This impassioned speech in his heart also led Bernard to be sentenced to 3 years imprisonment, and all their 177 properties were confiscated. On the day he was released from prison, his wife hugged Bernard excitedly.
Let's go home.
They took them all, remember?
Well, let's go somewhere.
What are you two laughing about?
They didn't take all of them.
No, they didn't know about the two we bought next door to each other in the Bahamas.
What?
It turned out that the day before the hearing, Bernard had expected the outcome of this time, and he asked Matt to put all the blame on him. Then help yourself to go to the Bahamas and buy 2 properties secretly. In the days that followed, they made a comeback with the only 2 remaining properties, and they insisted on purchasing white properties and renting them out to blacks. With their impetus, the U.S. Congress passed the Fair Housing Act of 1968, prohibiting racial discrimination in home sales and leasing. They were named essential figures in the desegregation system. The film is adapted from real people.